to Manchester City. They are the winners at Wembley.
You will not find one person in this club, a locker room, who will love it. FA Cup is FA Cup.
The reality is that it is a competition that he treasures and a competition that, regardless of the opponent, he wants to win. Foden hits a shot. It was a sumptuous finish.
He's just on fire at the moment.
One ambition left, to score a goal at Tottenham.
And Ake prods it over the line. City are through to the fifth round of the FA Cup.
And it's Haaland, and he raced onto that ball from Kevin De Bruyne.
How would you sum up your connection?
Not bad.
Erling Haaland with a 5-star show.
The kid's a machine, isn't he? Every time we're at Wembley and lift the FA Cup, you feel something special.
And there's a good try. Oh, incredible! That is stunning!
They are again on the trail of the world's most famous knockout cup competition.
6 FA Cup semi-finals in a row. How good does that sound and feel?
No team has done it before.
Number 4.
Manchester City will play number 3 Chelsea.
Hello and welcome to Wembley, welcome to Matchday Live. My name is FG and I'm joined by Manchester City and Chelsea legend, Shaun Wright-Phillips. Shaun, happy to be back at Wembley?
How can you not be happy to be back at Wembley, to see City here again and obviously Chelsea here too? I'm very, very much looking forward to this game.
Now, you've got very, very happy memories here. An FA Cup final against our noisy neighbours, Manchester United. How did that one go for you?
We won. So that's all that matters, isn't it? If you can beat your noisy neighbours here, which we did it again last season as well, it's always one step and a huge step for mankind sort of thing. Beating the Reds is always a fantastic, but to do it at Wembley just makes it feel that much more special.
Now, a quick word as well on the atmosphere here. Manchester City always come out in their sky blues. There's a lot of inflatable bananas around Wembley Way and stuff now as well, like the old school.
Yeah, old school is always best, I think, when it comes to in terms of football and the fans and the atmosphere and the vibe that it always brings. And I'm looking forward to seeing the vibe today. I think we're seeing it slowly now fill out, and people are obviously outside enjoying the rest of Wembley, and once they get in there, I know it's going to be noisy because Chelsea are going to want to beat City and City are going to want to beat Chelsea.
It's going to be a fantastic game, and we have got the team news to deliver to you from pitchside here at Wembley. The Manchester City starting 11, of course, we start with Ortega Moreno in goal and our captain Kyle Walker, and then it's John Stones, Manu Akanji and Nathan Ake, and then we have Rodri, De Bruyne, Bernardo, Phil Foden, Jack Grealish and Julian Alvarez. The substitutes for Manchester City: Ederson, Ruben Diaz, Mateo Kovacic, Jeremy Doku, Sergio Gomez, Josko Vardiol, Tejas Nunes, Oscar Bob and Rico Lewis. And for Chelsea as well, we've also got their team news, which is Petrovic, Cucurella, Thiago Silva, Enzo Fernandez, Noni Madueke, Chalobah, Jackson, Cole Palmer, former City player, of course, and the captain for Chelsea is Conor Gallagher, and then it's Caicedo, and finally Malo Gusto. The substitutes are on the screen below for you to see. We've seen the two starting 11s. First things first, let's start, of course, with Manchester City. A lot of talk about tired legs, a lot of talk of players. Erling Haaland's not, unfortunately, hasn't made the matchday squad, but Kevin De Bruyne is there.
Are you ever surprised when Pep rotates a team? I think we're so used to seeing it happen, and regardless of who he pulls out and who he puts in, it's still a very, very strong Manchester City team. Obviously, for different reasons, and they will play different to the people they've replaced, but you still see that same high-quality standard performance, and I don't think that's going to change today. Just a different way of playing football, I think, for City, and I'm looking forward to seeing that. We saw it at the start of the season without Kevin, and for a lot of the time throughout the season without Haaland as well. So, and we've coped very well, and look where we are. We're in the semi-finals, we're at the top of the Premier League, so we know what they're all capable of.
We are at Wembley again, once again, like we seem to be every year, which we'll never get bored of. Let's talk about 120 minutes of football then, Shaun. How will the players be feeling? Like, will there be tiredness in their legs, of course, or from the Real Madrid game, or do you think a lot of them will get over it quite quickly?
I wouldn't necessarily say they would get over it quickly, but at the same time, I think if anybody watched the game, I thought we dominated the game, or in many ways destroyed Real Madrid for 120 minutes. I think they got that goal that they got. That's what they came for. Apart from that, I felt like they just tried to park the bus because they knew they couldn't affect City. So a lot of the time, Real Madrid were the ones chasing the ball, but City were putting that much pressure on, trying to make things happen, trying to force issues that there may be a little bit fatiguing them. But I think when you come to the business end of the season and you're playing the way that we've seen City play, I think adrenaline and that confidence takes them past that point where it's more mental than physical, and they win the mental battle for me all day long.
And what about Julian Alvarez? A start for him, a man who's never really disappointed us at City shirt. He works so hard and he offers so much. Big opportunity for him today with Erling not in the matchday squad.
It's always an opportunity when you get to start in a Man City team. I think there's that many fantastic players that you're competing against, and I think that's also what makes everybody play so well, is that family competition that they have, that they want to be playing in the next squad, so they're always training at that maximum level. And it's the same for the people that they come up against. So he will be coming into this game thinking, here's another chance for me. I have to do exactly what I did at the start of the season and throughout the season. Try and nick a goal, try and cause as much problems as I can, try and create a chance or get an assist even. But first things first, you know what Alvarez does. It always works hard for the team. And you know we're going to press when he's up front, because he will be the person that possibly can set that press off.
Absolutely. Now let's quickly touch on the Chelsea team before we head back to the studio. There's only one man we're going to talk about in this Chelsea team, and it's a man who was made in the Manchester City Academy, Cole Palmer. A sensational season for him. Another hat-trick ball at the weekend. He's in great form and he's super confident, isn't he?
He's playing football with a smile on his face. I think if you watch him play, I think in the Everton game when he gets that nutmeg before he scores his first goal, that is him being Cole Palmer. That's him expressing himself, enjoying the way he played football. Same way he used to play in the park with his friends. He's now just taken that onto the big stage. And you can see he's lapping up the responsibility of being that main man at that Chelsea team, full of a lot of stars that they've spent a lot of money on. And now Cole Palmer's gone there and said, no, this is my show. And he's lighting it up, to be honest, and I'm so delighted to see him doing exactly what he's doing, and he deserves all the accolades and rewards he gets from it.
He absolutely does, and of course the Man City Academy also, the work that's been done there. We've seen so many players, we probably will see so many more players leave Manchester City and go on to do amazing stuff, but that's a product of what we're creating in the Academy, isn't it?
But that's the thing with football, and that's part of the reason why I think so many people love Manchester City. They don't try and hold them or stop them from exceeding or getting to the limits that they want to get to. Of course, the club would rather them do it at Manchester City, but if that player wants to move on to adapt to football in a different way and use those qualities that Man City have given him, they do let you go. They do let you go and try and become the person who you want to become to. And some clubs don't. They just say you can go on loan and pull you back and then you don't get back in and so on and so on. But City let you go to be that person you're meant to be. And I think it's fantastic. They must take credit, like you said, from what they taught the young man to do. And the young man must take even more credit because he's took it all on board and put it out on the football pitch week in and week out.
Absolutely. Well, there were your Manchester City and your Chelsea team. First things first, before we head to Natalie in the studio, we've got a message for someone, haven't we? Part of the City production team, Shaun.
Yeah, man. Kimbers. Us two here, I don't know about those who are in the studio, we love you.
We love you,
You are the
Kimbers.
best.
She's actually in my right ear right now and she just said, oh, but we're going to head back to the studio. Natalie is there with some guests.
Is anybody else wondering what Shaun Wright-Phillips and FG want from Kimbers? Because that was a right suck-up moment there. Thank you so much. And I love you too, Kimbers, by the way. Thank you very much to FG and to Shaun Wright-Phillips. I'm loving starting the show, by the way. Shaun Wright-Phillips, 30 seconds into the show with a profound quote. Because we know Manchester City are out of this world. I'm doing it, guys. I'm doing it. One small step for man, that goal at FA Cup, the FA Cup semi-final when Yaya Toure scored it. And one giant leap for Manchester City.
Mankind or something.
Okay, yes. Love that, Shaun Wright-Phillips. So we are in the studio and I'm so happy to be joined by a defensive masterclass pairing. It is Richard Dunne and Steve Howey. How are you both?
Very good, thank you. Yeah.
Good. Looking forward to today?
Absolutely.
Any nerves?
No, I'm confident. I think because of what happened during the week, and obviously it was a major blow, it's one of them ones where the manager doesn't really have to say anything in the dressing room. You know, just go out and make sure you get the result. I just think the players themselves, because they've got so many strong characters, they'll basically sort of say to each other, we do not want that feeling again. And obviously, we all know that they're the holders of this cup. So I think they'll be looking forward to this game.
Yeah, I love the fact that we get the chance to bounce back so quickly, Richard, and in a semi-final at Wembley. It feels like it's a perfect opportunity to, like I said, immediately bounce back.
Yeah, it's brilliant. This team's used to big games, and that's what they live for. They come alive at the end of the season when the trophies start becoming available. Obviously, there was disappointment in midweek, but what a great match to get back on. And like Steve says, they self-motivate themselves. The trophies is what motivates them, and this is a great opportunity to get themselves closer to winning another one.
So we see 4 changes in the starting 11. Obviously, Ortega we expect to play in the FA Cup as he did last season as well. Then we've got Stones and Ake coming into the defence, with Diaz and Guardiola dropping to the bench, but both of them played the full 120 against Real Madrid on Wednesday night. And then Alvarez is in the starting 11 because Erling Haaland is not in the squad today. So if we look at that in terms of defensively, do you think the fact that Diaz and Guardiola played the whole 120 minutes is the reason that Stones and Ake are coming in? Or is there anything other tactically that you sort of see there, Steve?
Me personally, I just think the manager's bringing in, quality players again. Whether he spoke to the players that he's put to the bench, probably. But at the same time, I think that these will accept it. Yes, they played 120 minutes, but it wouldn't have surprised me if the 2 lads had have started the game as well. But isn't it just an amazing squad that the manager can just sort of say, I've got 2 world-class players, you can go to the bench. Tell you what, I'll bring another 2 world-class players in.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. Yeah, sometimes I think I look for a reason when there just isn't one. He's just having a little bit of a change. And then Alvarez coming into the team today. I thought he was really effective when he came on Wednesday night, Richard.
Yeah, he's a World Cup winner. He's a brilliant footballer. And when City play with Haaland, they've got the best striker in the world, and they're a brilliant team. And then when they take him out, they've got a World Cup winner, and they're still a brilliant team, just in a slightly different way. So I don't think his absence will be massively felt. I think the team will just dominate the game in a different way, and Alvarez gives them probably a little bit more link-up play, and yeah, they'll still look to go and score goals from all over the pitch. So it's still a really exciting lineup, and like Steve says, the quality of the squad just stands out massively at this stage of the season.
I loved the fact that Alvarez stepped up first on Wednesday night and smashed his penalty as well. I mean, that is confidence.
Well, it is, but as Dunne said, which is absolutely spot on. People think, he's Erling Haaland's understudy. He's a World Cup winner.
Yeah.
Let's not forget that. And to be a World Cup winner, wow. I mean, that is what every player would want to be. He's one of the lucky few. So for him to come into the team, of course he feels a part of it. But he is a fantastic player. He's obviously got massive confidence in his own ability, and that's why he's thinking, well, penalty, I'll tell you what, I'm a goal scorer, I'll take the first one, and of course, smashed it in.
Talking about penalties on Wednesday night, of course, gosh, I hope it doesn't go to penalties today. I don't think I can take that again, gents. But if it does go to penalties today, Ederson took one serious penalty the other night.
That was brilliant. That was real confident. He's been asking for a while, I think, to take one. Yeah. And then you start to wonder, is he actually that good? But then when you're seeing that was brilliant. I mean, he put a few of the others to shame, unfortunately, but it was full of confidence, and yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he takes one in the game eventually.
Yeah, I mean, when I was watching it, and obviously it was like his penalty, it was probably the most confident I was. I mean, obviously I'm confident in the lads putting it away, and of course, yeah, we missed 2, but when he steps up, because he has got that quality, I mean, if I'm being brutally honest, I expected him to absolutely smash it as hard as he could in the top corner, but it was just a placement into the corner. I mean, unbelievable technique.
My mind is currently going crazy, and I can't work it out in my head, and I don't want to say it because I'll look like a right idiot, in terms of bringing him on to take a penalty, but not wanting to take Ortega off. And I'm trying to work out how it would work. Would we have to play him as an outfield player for like 10 seconds or something? Like, I don't know. My mind's going mad, but let's hope we just don't. Let's just not get there. Let's get it done in the 90 minutes, because of course it was Wednesday night, Richard, 120 minutes and the penalties. It is now Saturday early evening. We know that this team is used to playing a lot of games. We know that at this point of the season we play Wednesday, Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday. I mean, do we need to have any nerves, do you think, about any kind of fatigue, or are they primed for this point of the season?
They will be primed. I think there's the possibility of a little bit of fatigue, but because of the mentality in the squad, because of the manager, I think that quickly gets shifted, and the opportunity, it's not just another league game, which can become a bit mundane at times because they're so predicted to win them, I suppose. This is a tough FA Cup game with the opportunity of trophies at Wembley, 90,000 people. So that motivates you yourself and that can remove the fatigue. I think there might be slight disappointment. It's tough after you've played 120 minutes and you've come out on the wrong side of a result. I think that makes it a little bit more difficult. But like we've said and we keep saying about the side, the strength of the team is the mentality that they just keep going. They keep coming back from any setbacks that they have. They recover quickly and they can, yeah, they get control of the ball and they just settle themselves down and they just play themselves into games and they're just an unbelievable side. So I think any of the issues mentally, fatigue-wise, I think they're for lesser teams than this Man City side.
Oh, I like that. Oh, I like that. They're for lesser teams, yes. There is Stefan Ortega. He is warming up. That is live shots from the Wembley pitch there. I mean, he had an incredible FA Cup run last year, just conceding the 1 goal in the entire FA Cup run, which is, of course, that dodgy penalty at Wembley last season. I'm calling it a dodgy penalty, Steve, because I still think it was a dodgy penalty. I think he should have had a clear, conceding-free FA Cup run. In terms of the rest of the team, just looking at that midfield area, Kevin De Bruyne obviously went off on Wednesday night, but he's back in the starting 11 tonight. Bernardo run his absolute little socks off again. I don't know if there's anybody in the world that runs more in a game than that man as well. I mean, in terms of the midfield, Rodri, Kevin De Bruyne, Bernardo, Foden, Grealish, I mean, workaholics, a lot of them.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. You know, when you've got a work rate of what them players like, bearing in mind that these are world-class players, but their work ethic is absolutely world-class as well. You know, of course, it would be very easy for one of them just to switch off and stuff like that, but again, we'll go back to it. It's the mentality and the sort of the togetherness that they've got is they'll not allow one player, regardless of who it is, just to slack off. So you can be a top player, but you've got to put your shift in as well.
Got some mad stats for you. I think you're going to like these for the both of you. Kevin De Bruyne has 23 goal involvements in his last 19 FA Cup appearances, 6 goals and 17 assists. He's got 5 assists this season. That's more than anybody else in the competition. 7 goals in his last 9 Wembley appearances. Oh, my God. Involved in 7 goals in his last 9 Wembley appearances. And Phil has 16 goal involvements in 16 starts in the FA Cup. 11 goals and 5 assists. I feel like Kevin De Bruyne and Phil Foden might have a moment today, Richard, but then they might always have a moment.
Yeah, the two of them are brilliant. The two of them, they play football from a different planet at times. The way they see the game and the way they move around the pitch is just incredible. So lucky to have the two of them playing in the same team, and there'll probably be other managers working out how can you fit the two of them into the team, but more or less every week they get to play together. And it's you've sort of seen Phil evolve over the last 18 months and become more central in what he's doing. And yeah, just when you put good footballers on the pitch, they produce good things, and them two are two of the best footballers in the world.
We're so blessed, aren't we? We're so blessed to get to enjoy them every week. What are you most looking forward to today? Any particular battles or moments that you're looking forward to? I
think there's obviously your personal battle, you know, so when you're playing against somebody, that's your personal battle. And I think, you know, if you win more than you don't as a team, 9 times out of 10 you win the game. I think obviously it'll be interesting to see how Cole Palmer, how he produces, what he produces. I'm sure he'll be looking forward to the game. But I mean, you could look at any player. I mean, obviously Stones, you're expecting him to come into that midfield play again, and that again moves the midfield around. But any one of them, you know, Foden, Grealish, Bernardo, De Bruyne, Alvarez, it could be anybody, really. I know for a fact that the Chelsea players, well, I don't know for a fact, but I'm guessing they'll be in the dressing room and they're looking at that team sheet and thinking, wow, well, if we stop him, there's him. If we don't stop him, then there's him. It's such a team to be scared of, to want for a better word. But, yeah. I mean, they'll obviously, I think Chelsea will make it a tough game. But I just do feel as though the confidence in the Man City team and the self-belief that they've got in themselves, yes, it was a setback on Wednesday, but we go again.
We go again. I loved, yes, we go again. You know that they're feeling that as well. We go again. It's a 5:15 kick-off in the FA Cup semi-final. We are here, FG and Shaun Wright-Phillips are pitchside, and there is a lot of Manchester City fans currently at Box Park. So these are the scenes from Box Park near Wembley, where we're having a big old Manchester City party. Moonbeam and Moonchester are down there. I don't know what he's doing there, Moonbeam, but he's all right. There's lots of inflatable bananas around, flags with treble winners. Oh, there's the voice of the Etihad. There's Danny Jackson. They're giving away lots of prizes. He's got a Rodri flag, that kid. Benjani went down and had an interview there. Gents, would you like? Do you fancy a day out at Box Park next time? I think we should go, Steve.
Yeah, it would be nice. Get myself a banana and enjoy the atmosphere. Yeah, I mean, it would be nice to go down there and soak it all up. But to be quite honest, I'm more than happy to do the work and watch the game from here. Yes, it's always lovely to go down and watch the. I mean, I was lucky enough last year to be at the ground last year, and it was absolutely brilliant. But I'm sure these fans will enjoy it, and I'm pretty sure at the end of it, they'll be doing that as well.
I was in Box Park for the final last year before the game, and it was wild. You can imagine it's just thousands of Blues that have all travelled down together and just having the best day out. So Box Park, we'll have some shots from there. We'll take you pitchside with FG and Shaun Wright-Phillips. So Matchday Live is always the place to be. And don't forget, you can always send us in a question as well. If you'd like to ask either of our guests a question, you can do that. The WhatsApp number is on your screen now. I'll get through as many as I can. We've already had 2 decent ones. Well done to the 2 of you that text or WhatsApped in before we'd even put the number up. You must have remembered it from the last game. Well done to you. So I'll get through as many of your WhatsApp questions as we possibly can as well. And don't forget, full match commentary on the Manchester City app with Alistair Mann and with that man, Michael Brown, who's just popped up randomly in my screen there. That is Michael Brown, and that is our FG. Are we going to you? Do you want us to come to you now? Yeah. Go on then, FG.
Right.
All right.
Let's do it then, shall we? All right, OK, so that man indeed is on co-coms, and we are here at Wembley, and we're going to talk about the midfield battle, and it's only right to talk about it with Mr. Michael Brown.
Are they behaving themselves in the studio?
Of course, as always. Nat was so happy to see you there.
Yeah, of course he was. I haven't got an earpiece in, so if she's left one on me, please tell me and I'll get her back another time.
I wouldn't do that to you.
Fascinating, though, in the middle, isn't it? The midfield battle today.
The midfield battle's an interesting one because, of course, there's players in that midfield who played a lot of minutes midweek compared to a fresh midfield. How much do you think that plays a part?
I think it does play a part. I think Rodri's got better and better. He's asked for a little bit of a rest, hasn't he? But now he's coming into the real business end, the time where every minute matters. And I think he has that sort of that stamina now to withstand these amount of games. So I think he's been wonderful what he's done. You see his record now from Rodri. So he's really that figurehead, that leader, the person who understands that position now to sit and let the likes of Kevin De Bruyne, Phil Foden, or whether it's Bernardo coming in, either or, we'll see how that pans out because they can interlink. But Rodri holds that key defensively to allow everybody to go forward.
He absolutely does. And of course, you said he leaves it to the likes of De Bruyne and Bernardo and Phil, but he has actually popped up with a few goals in big moments, in particular at the Etihad Stadium against Chelsea, in a game that was really, really tight, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. And do you know what? That's what he's bringing now. So he's sitting in that 6. He's then waiting, he's looking for danger, and all of a sudden he just comes and drifts forward into the edge of the areas, pushing the ball where there's space, because the wide players, the 2-8s will drag Chelsea back, create more space, and that allows him then just to go on top of it. He's got that licence to do that, especially when they're pinning the teams in. So it's great that he's contributing. The midfielder need a bit of joy at times, not just stopping and not just defending.
Absolutely. Now let's talk about that Bernardo or Phil Foden. We're not sure, actually, at Wembley which way Pep will go. I mean, but either way, both options are very, very strong, aren't they?
Yeah, Cucurella being in that left-back position, so he might think, do you know what, well, I'll stop that with a more sort of disciplined performance in Bernardo to stop him getting up and down. The ground that he covers, Bernardo, is fascinating. And Phil Foden in the central area, to get on the half-turn, get into some space, create the 2 holding midfield players problems for Chelsea. So let's see if it starts like that. Them 2 can interlink and move around, as we discussed at any point. But the midfield for Chelsea, that's what's going to be interesting. Enzo Fernandez, Caicedo will be 2 number 6s. And then who's going to play the 10? Who's going to play in front of them? Gallagher's been in there, in and around that situation. Palmer in off different situations as well. But it might be that Palmer bees that number 10 today. Gallagher goes and drifts, be a wider area. So if he goes on to Kyle Walker, I think that'll suit us a little bit more, because that's more of an industrial performance, an industrial performer who's going to get up and down, try and stop the fullback. So fascinating outcome. Rodri just needs to keep a little eye on Cole Palmer.
He does need to keep an eye on Cole Palmer, of course. Conor Gallagher, let's just talk about him. He's wearing a captain's armband at Chelsea. He's been absolutely brilliant, hasn't he, in a Chelsea shirt, and he's gone a little bit under the radar, hasn't he?
Do you know what he is, though? He's infectious, isn't he? He just wants to cover the ground, he wants to work for his team. You see him step up to try and be a leader with that penalty situation. That was a mess, wasn't it, with Cole Palmer taking the penalty, Jackson getting involved. So not only is he showing it with the aggression, with the determination, he's stepping up at the right time. So, listen, really good performances. Whether he plays in that central role, whether they pack the midfield three, we'll soon see, or whether he drifts out and let Cole Palmer have the freedom. I think personally, Chelsea would really, really like to get Cole Palmer on the ball as much as possible. Keeping him out the way, keeping him in that wider position allows them to do that.
It does indeed. Now let's head back to the studio then. I wonder if we're going to be on the big screen again. Let's wait and see, shall we? Oh, here we are. We are on the big screen. Wave at the screen, darling.
Hey, FG,
as our players are actually just coming out now, as we speak right now. Perfect timing. That's what we do on Matchday Live. A massive hello to Richard Dunne and Steve Howey as well, of course. But the players are coming out, and Cal Walker's eyeing Brownie up a little bit, giving him a wave. Good times, mate. I'm liking this.
Yeah, good times. Hopefully, hopefully it's going to be a really good, positive day. Fans are excited, all just filling up nicely. It's a brilliant stadium, and it doesn't get any better.
Thanks, Brownie.
I think we should just stay here.
Why haven't you got dressed up, FG?
No problem. Watch the game from here.
You know what it was, right? I knew Steve Howey was in the studio and he's probably got an electric gilet or something like that, so I just thought I'd just keep it casual and just focus on
coming for you, mate.
Brownie
it's coming for you.
and
Give him it back wherever you can.
Thanks, FG. Thank you, Michael Brown. Have a good day, gents. Thank you. Thank you so much. I feel like FG was ready for that one. He knew that we were coming for him. So FG, Michael Brown there at pitchside. Michael Brown is on your co-commentary today alongside Alistair Mann that you'll get on the Manchester City app there. 5:15 kick-off. WhatsApp number is on your screen again. If you would like to ask us any questions, do get those in for us now. So we know that both of the teams for today. We've talked about the City team. In terms of the Chelsea team today, one change for Chelsea from the team that thrashed Everton on Monday night, 6-0. Enzo Fernandez, he returns in midfield with Mudryk dropping to the bench. So, I feel like I want to start talking about Chelsea, Steve, without starting with Cole Palmer, but it feels like that's all we've been talking about all week long. Of course, Cole Palmer, Manchester City Academy product, was sold to Chelsea at the end of the transfer window last year. I think it was £42 million. Obviously, Cole Palmer having a phenomenal season. 20 goals, leading the Golden Boot race alongside our very own Erling Haaland. 9 penalties in there. Man is cool as anything when it comes to a penalty. Steve, the big sort of question, did you expect when we sold Cole Palmer to Chelsea that he would go on and have the impact that he's had at this club?
Without being harsh on the lad, probably not. But I tell you what, you've got to take your hat off to him. I think he's stood up to the task superbly well. I mean, he is pretty much, well, he is. He's Chelsea's main man, isn't he? Takes his penalties cool and calm. His all-round play's been absolutely excellent. He's loving the fact that he is the main man. I mean, obviously here he wouldn't have been, and I think he would have played games, but he would have been out and then in and then out. Obviously, that's probably not what he wanted, but he's there. He's, as I said, he's banging goals in for fun. His all-round player is excellent as well. His confidence is absolutely sky high. And you think if he just carries this on till the end of the season, and there's not long left, you have to be very, very surprised if he's not in Gareth Southgate's England squad. But, I mean, I think most fans would think he has to be in, not just Man City fans or Chelsea fans, because he has been absolutely superb this season.
He'll be very much in the shout for Player of the Season, I would imagine, as well, because of the massive impact that he's had at Chelsea. I think Gareth Southgate might have a bit of a headache about how he's going to get them all in, but that's his problem, and it's not one that Dunne and I are concerned about. In terms of Cole Palmer, there's been a lot of questions this week about do City regret selling him? Should we have sold him? But Pep made it very clear in his press conference, Richard, that he's asked for 2 transfer windows, that he wanted to go, that we didn't want to let him go, but that he wanted to go. And I wonder if he'd have stayed, if he would have had the opportunity or made the impact that he's been able to do a lesser Chelsea team.
Yeah, I mean, because he scored it, didn't he, in the Charity Shield at the start of the season. He scored in the Super Cup as well, and so he was getting games at City, but he's obviously had it set in his mind that he wanted to move on, and City have to let him go. And fair play to him, he's just cracked on, and he's had more of an effect on Chelsea than I think he would have had on Man City this season, which is just the truth because of the squad that Man City have. And I think for the player himself, you just have to look at the chaos and carnage that goes around with Chelsea. and to see how calm he's kept and still to be able to produce what he's produced has been fantastic. And again, throw back the highlight on Man City and say, well, it's the upbringing he's had, it's the education he's had in an academy to be able to deal with whatever's going on and still produce what he's produced. And so it is a shame that he's left, and I'm sure Pep would have found a way over the next couple of seasons to get him in the side, but it just wasn't the time, and it's worked out best for both sides.
I think you've got to give Man City huge credit as well with this, because they could have been awkward, they could have asked for stupid money, but they haven't, and you know that's credit to the club and the manager, because they've, I mean, really, when you look at it, he's gone for next to nothing. When you look at his performances, 42, I mean, he's at least doubled that in his performances this season. So, you know, fair play to Man City, because, as I said, they could have made it really difficult for him. That obviously would have made the lad unhappy, which they didn't want. But, you know, it's worked out, you know, very well for both sides.
Yeah, it's worked out well for all parties involved. He's become a huge hit at Chelsea. You mentioned a sort of chaotic Chelsea there, Richard, and it made me think the Everton game on Monday night, the moment where they got the penalty, I think everybody in the world that was watching it was like, what is going on? They're 4 or 5-0 up at the time, fighting amongst themselves, and Cole's not missed a penalty all season. It was crazy. It
was really, really embarrassing, I think, for the club itself. It's not something that you want to be seeing on Monday Night Football's watched all over the world. Everyone sees the game, and that's the sort of lasting memory from a 6-0 victory. And Cole Palmer was obviously the star of the show, and everyone's talking about the incident. So it just shows there isn't the leadership in Chelsea that they need, and you can see it in their performances. We were saying now they've gone 8 games unbeaten at the moment, but the squad they have and the profile of the players they have, they should be challenged at the top of the table. But when you haven't got that leadership and that sort of stability within your side, and those arguments don't help, that's the result. There's no real lead. No one knows whose penalty it is. Nobody's taking responsibility. Nobody's staying in their place and saying, listen, Cole Palmer's 8 out of 8, let him go 9 for 9, but they all just want a little moment in the shine.
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, I thought it was an absolute shambles, and it was like you look at it and you're thinking, what on earth are you doing? So you can imagine the Chelsea fans, you know, normal fans are looking at that and they're loving it because they're thinking, wow. You can imagine the manager was so annoyed at that situation. The players, you are thinking, what are you thinking? Because everybody knows he's the penalty taker, regardless of what the score is. But me and Dunne were speaking before the game, and Dunne mentioned, which is absolutely spot on, where was these players standing up to take that penalty when it was 4-3 against Manchester City? You know, they weren't. They were like probably hiding and thinking, I don't want that responsibility. But isn't it? It's a lot easier, isn't it, when it's 4-5-0?
Does it not come from the top, though? Because obviously Poch was annoyed, and he mentioned it in his press conference after. But is it that sort of lack of leadership, that kind of infighting? Does that not filter from the top? Is it not his responsibility to have stamped that out?
I think he'll be annoyed, because as far as he was concerned, it's been crystal clear who the penalty taker was. You know, it hasn't deviated from when he took his first one, and he's been successful in taking every one. As I said, it was just one of them ones where you just... This is why... I mean, I know that it was addressed afterwards by Pochettino, and obviously Cole Palmer came out, and to be fair, I thought he spoke very, very well about it and tried to diffuse the situation. But it just goes to show... For me, I think there's some maybe like kind of little cliques in that dressing room, and I think there'll be a couple of players that'll be thinking, why is he getting all the attention? Which shouldn't be the case. You know, if you've got a teammate that's producing what he's producing, you're like, brilliant, because it's fantastic for him, but it's helping us. There just seems to be a little bit kind of jealousy in there, and I think that's what it was, and that's why the manager Pochettino's obviously not happy about it, and understandably so.
Yeah, it was like, oh, you've already got 3. Let me have 1. Like, well, just he doesn't miss penalties. He doesn't miss penalties, Cole Palmer.
Shows the difference in mentality between the two teams. You look at City and everything they do for the team, whereas there is individuals in that Chelsea side, and they've not reached the levels that the Manchester City players have had. They're all looking at, to be in a Man City team, you have to be the best player in the world in your position. Whereas at Chelsea, I think they're in the situation where they all think they're the best player in the world, and they all want to prove what they've got, but as a collective, they've not been able to achieve anywhere near what City have this season.
It's such a good point, and it makes it almost feel like they're like, how is this 21-year-old, guy that's never played regular Premier League football?
Yeah, should be called De La Soul, which is me, myself, and I, which is the song, which is, as I said, when we played together, we played with some wonderful players, and I think for me and for us, it was a pleasure to have them in the team, not, kind of pointing the finger and being a little bit sort of catty about it. You're delighted for the lad.
I was thinking on Wednesday night when Rudiger was so darn good, I wonder if Chelsea are regretting in any way letting him go. Their centre-back partnership for today, Silva and Chalobah. Defensively, what have you made of them this season, Dunne?
Not great. I think they've conceded a lot of goals this season, and it's been a reason, I suppose, for their lack of consistency, because they've been all right going forward. They've got goals in their team, but defensively there's been a lot of changes. They've had a lot of injuries with their full-backs as well, where Chilwell and James miss a lot of games, so it's hard to get that understanding. I think they've brought in the Sassy as well, and other players. They've missed Fofana, who's been out for a long time with an knee injury. He's a really good player, but I think they're a difficult team to play against because they've got two holding midfielders who, on paper, are brilliant, but they don't do the job that they're being asked to do. But they can turn up on any given moment and produce because of the quality that they've got individually. And we've seen it at Stamford Bridge and as well here in the two drawn games in the leagues. They were brilliant. They played really well, Chelsea, and they can be a real threat. So while they can be weak defensively, they can also have a good day.
Wonder which Chelsea will turn up today. Now, both of you played together. Do you know how many times that you both played together?
Yes.
Yes, because did we tell you before? How many is it?
75.
75 times you played together as a centre. Was it always centre-back partnership?
No, sometimes you were
right back sometimes,
and then sometimes maybe it's right of the three, or together as a centre-half. Yeah.
Did you? I mean, 75 times, and I guess you can't say no because you sat next to each other. But did you like each other in that sort of working together as a partnership, as a defence?
Yeah, I think we got on really well off the pitch as well. So we had a good partnership, relationship, I suppose it's called. And Steve was more experienced than me, so looked after me a lot and helped me and guided me through games at times and stuff like that. So I think it's important when you've got centre-half partners that you get on with them, because you need to be able to communicate, you need to be able to help one another, you need to have trust in the player that you're playing next to. And I think between us, the two of us trusted that if I was to make a mistake, I know Steve would be there to try to cover it up after me. And yeah, I think that's how the best ones try to work.
Yeah, I mean, I love my time here, and I love my time obviously playing with Dunne. I mean, I thought he was a fantastic player. Of course, we got him from Everton. and you could see that he was always going to be an excellent player. And he's right. Off the pitch we got on. We used to come into training together. We used to go out together, and obviously enjoyed each other's company. And it wasn't one of them. If Dunne made a mistake or I made a mistake, we're not going to dig each other out. We know that it's not meant. And of course, it was brilliant to know that if I do make a mistake, that I'm pretty sure he's going to be there to bail me out. And a lot of times he did. But yeah, it was a good partnership. But one that it helps when you do get on off the pitch, which we did. We got on very well.
I guess the more games you play together, the better understanding you get of each other? Does it make it easier to bat off each other when you're playing more and more games together? Yeah,
it becomes like you can almost do it blindfolded, because if the ball's in a certain situation, he's going to attack it, I know where to drop off, or if he has the ball on his right foot or his left foot, you know which way he's going to play it, where it's going to go, and you sort of react off each other's body shape as he's dropping off, I'm pushing forward and all that sort of stuff, and it just becomes a habit almost. And it's 75 games played together, but it's 300 training sessions or wherever it is to get to that level. And I think that's the way it has to be. There's very few that just, I suppose, knit after 2 or 3 games. It takes time to build relationships. And when you're looking at Chelsea's team and they're changing all the time and the goals that they're conceding and how difficult they found it at times, consistency comes over time, and you need that opportunity and that little bit of extra time, I suppose, to build relationships.
So in terms of defensively today, if we look at City's front three, obviously Alvarez, Grealish, Bernardo, or Phil, a lot of them, they're tricky and quick. If you're Chelsea, you're the Chelsea centre-backs right now, Steve, how are you thinking you're going to deal with City's attacking output?
With difficulty, first of all. But it's a lot of it has to do with communication as well, because when you're playing against Erling, you know he's going to remember he's back in against you, and of course, yeah, he's got that threatening behind. But with Alvarez and the players and the mixing and the movement, you know, sometimes the back four of Chelsea or back three, whatever it is, sometimes they'll be marking nobody, and they'll be thinking, well, what have I do? And then there's going to be so many bodies in that midfield, or there's an overload on either side. So I think for them, it's all about communication. And because what you don't want is to have a player that's in between the centre-half and the midfield players in that little pocket. That causes all kinds of problems. And that is the big thing, as I said, with communication. So it is going to be difficult for them. I know for me personally, you know, playing against that lineup against City, you're thinking, this is going to be a long afternoon. And obviously, if City got off to a good start, it's going to be a hell of a long afternoon.
What's the difference for Chelsea or for any team playing against City when Erling Haaland's playing and when he's not playing in terms of defensively, Richard?
I think for me as a centre-half, I used to love having someone to mark. And I think when Haaland's in the team, you know you've got someone to mark, whereas with Alvarez, you don't know where he's going to play. He could be literally anywhere on the pitch and he just moves around, and it's just so difficult. I think... Like for centre-halves generally, you need to be able to take your line off a centre-forward at times and understand, right, well, if centre-forward's there, I need to be here. If the centre-forward's not there, I don't want to be going in chasing after him and leaving spaces behind me. And that's the difficulty with the City team, because Bernardo, Foden, De Bruyne, Grealish and him, they'll all rotate and they'll all move positions and nobody will stand still, and it's so difficult to have the discipline to, as a back four, to say, right, they're moving, we need to stay still and we need to be in the right positions when they arrive in those positions. It's so hard to get it all, like Steve says, the communication is so important for it.
When Erling is playing and Erling is not in the squad today, this season, Steve, do you think that teams have had a chance to work out how to defend against him better this season?
Slightly, although let's be honest, they haven't done it brilliantly because he's still scoring goals. And I think as any defender, sometimes some defenders love a battle. They love that physicality of it. We're saying somebody like Rudiger, for instance, loves that kind of thing. I think there's some defenders in the Premier League love that kind of thing. Some don't like it. Some are quite happy for players just to sort of go in those little areas because they're thinking, well, I'm comfortable here. I'm not getting exposed in any way, shape or form. But I don't think so. I mean, I think that has there been times where possibly Erling could have done maybe a little bit better with holding the ball up, possibly. But at the same time, he's one of these players where, as a defender, and me and Dunne's played against players like that, or even different players, the small ones, you feel as though you've gotten... I'm comfortable with him. He's done absolutely nothing all afternoon. You switch off for 1 second, bang, it's in the back of the net. And you're cursing yourself because you're thinking, he hasn't been very good today. And yet, we're getting beat 1-0 and he scored. And everybody looks at you. And yet, you've basically had him in your pocket, and that's what he does.
Yeah. I feel like Richard might have liked to have tried with Erling, one-on-one.
I Dunne would have loved that battle.
Yeah, I feel like you'd have enjoyed that.
Yeah, I think, like, I always love playing. You want to play against the best and you want to try and test yourself. And the one thing that I would always say about the best strikers, they're generally in the best teams, and it's the team that makes a striker. So you ask Haaland, he's obviously scored a load of goals. A lot of them are from 5 and 6 yards out. So they're being put on the play for him. So it's all that whole team. And I remember playing against Arsenal's team back in the day when everyone was talking about Thierry Henry, but he had Perez, Bergkamp, Vieira. He had the backup of the best players in the world. So one-on-one battles exist in small little moments, but over the course of 90 minutes, it's so difficult to mark a great striker who's playing in a great team, but definitely would have loved to do it. Yeah. Try it.
Was Henry your sort of standout, most difficult sort of one-on-one battle, or was there anybody else that still sticks in your mind?
Henry was obviously he was the best striker probably at the time, but there was like Alan Shearer was a player at times that you could battle with and think that you're winning the battle, and then he'll score a hat-trick and then you're like, well, how's that happened? Didier Drogba was another one who was a tough battle, different sort of test than the usual, but the Premier League's blessed with strikers over the years, so we've been lucky that we've been able to play against some of the best in the world. And from what I see and I watch of Haaland, I know there's been criticism of his hold-up play and different things like that. In terms of a number 9 scoring goals, there's none, I don't think, that can beat him.
I think it's 20 and 26 appearances or something this season. Yeah. Obviously, he's not played every game, and he is joint top of the Golden Boot race. Anyone stand out particular for you, Steve, that you had a one-on-one battle with?
Oh, well, again, as Dunne said, it was. I used to love playing against the best, because then it's a benchmark for yourself. You know, you're looking at Zola, Cantona, Shearer, as he said, Sheringham, York, Hughes, York, Cole, people, Fowler. I mean, Robbie Fowler was absolutely frightening finisher. All of these kind of players, and you could probably go on. And then you've got maybe somebody like Duncan Ferguson, who's just an absolute brute. And if you come off with only like 2 or 3 cuts on your forehead, you've done quite well. So there's all these variations of these strikers. Somebody like Coley or York, you would be wanting to spin in behind and then come short, and Michael Owens, people like that. I didn't really like playing against Zola because he was small, and he was one of these players where he just had this very low sense of gravity. I'd have preferred somebody like, as Dunne sort of said, a Shearer or something like that, so you can have that battle with. Henry was a nightmare because he used to sort of drift off to the side, and you'd think, well, he's not paying much attention, and he will be way offside. But then, as soon as the Arsenal would get the ball, he'd be back on side, and then he'd be away. So every one of them caused problems, but it was always brilliant to play against them.
I interviewed Duncan Ferguson once, and he called me Natasha, and I was fine. Whatever you want, Duncan, whatever. I'm not saying anything there. Thank you for sending in your WhatsApp questions. This one fits nicely into this discussion. Kelly has said, with Haaland out of the squad today, who do you think is going to step up and score for City?
Literally just throw the names up in the air and see who comes down, because you can trust that any of them can score goals. They're all more than capable in and around the penalty area. And like I said, there's not loads of goals that are 25-yard curlers into the top corner, which nobody is surprised. Most of them is just great build-up play, and someone ends up in the right position, whether that be Foden, De Bruyne, or Alvarez today. We'll wait and see. But yeah, I don't think scoring goals will be our problem.
Good.
Yeah, the same. I mean, obviously you would sort of think, well, Alvarez, but it could be anybody. I mean, as Dunne sort of said, I think the longest kind of shot goal I've seen recently was probably Foden against Manchester United. I could be wrong, but it is a case of, because of that interplay that they have, normally 9 times out of 10 it's a shot that's inside the box, or somebody finishes off inside the 6-yard box. So any one of them is more than capable.
Thank you for the question there, Kelly. So we are keeping RFG nice and busy today. We sent him out early along Wembley Way to speak to some City and some Chelsea fans.
We thought for the FA Cup semi-final we would change things up a little bit here on Matchday Live. I'm going to go and find some supporters from both teams to play a quick game of this or that. Yaya Toure or Frank Lampard?
Yaya. I don't know.
Ooh. I'd have to go Frank Lampard.
Yeah, Frankie.
We also love Frank Lampard in Manchester, so we're all right.
Oh, yeah, you did, yeah. Yaya Toure.
Frank Lampard.
Frank Lampard.
Toure.
Next up, Sergio Aguero or Didier Drogba?
Didier Drogba.
Drogba.
Aguero. Didier Drogba. Aguero.
Didier Drogba.
Sergio Aguero.
I love the Aguero.
Sergio.
Drogba.
Aguero, come on.
Drogba. Vincent Kompany or John Terry?
Terry.
Vincent Kompany.
Can I have Vincent Kompany as well?
I'm a Chelsea boy. Kompany, though.
Ooh,
yeah.
Never. JT all the way.
Prime Jose Mourinho or Pep Guardiola?
Jose Mourinho. Guardiola.
Pep, anyway.
Pep, come on.
Mourinho.
Jose.
Pep Guardiola.
Who wins in a race, Mudryk or Walker?
Walker.
Kyle Walker.
Say Walker.
I think I might get them on the next one. Who will win in a race, Kyle Walker or Mikhail Mudryk?
Oh, it's close, actually, isn't it? I don't know. Might be Walker. Might be. I'd say a tie.
I'd say Mudryk.
The Etihad or Stamford Bridge?
Etihad.
Stamford Bridge.
Yeah, Stamford Bridge.
Etihad all day long.
Would you rather win the League and Cup double or the Champions League?
League and Cup double.
League and Cup double.
Ooh, tough one. I'll go for League and Cup.
Yeah. League and Cup, come on.
Two's better than one, right?
Champions League.
Champions League.
Champions League. Champions League.
The double.
My question. Well, we've done both already. Maybe I'll go Champions League again.
Pie and mash or chip butty?
Pie and mash.
Chip boy.
Chip boy.
Chip buddy on the day.
Or pie and mash.
Chip boy.
I've not eaten any of that.
You've not had pie and mash or chip butty? Right, we're going to end it there. I'm going to take him for a chip butty. Let's go, mate.
Oh, I love a chip butty. That guy's about to have a magical experience. A chip butty with our FG. Thank you so much to FG. I told you we're keeping him massively busy today because we're going to go back now pitch side. So, in just a very minute, FG has managed to find one of your guys' lovely friends, I imagine. He's found Mr. Paul Dickoff. So let's go back over pitch side to FG and to Paul Dickoff.
I mean, it says something, I think, for everybody. I know you guys watching at home and even in the studio will agree with us. It says something that people were literally disappointed that we got knocked out of the Champions League, and it was all a massive thing because this club haven't won back-to-back trebles, which is just, it shows really how far this group of players have come, doesn't it?
You've got to just look out Real Madrid set up. You know, Ancelotti came out and says if we play the Real Madrid way, we get battered like we did last season. I've never seen a Real Madrid team set up like that in my lifetime. So it shows you the respect we've got now, how good we are. And at the same time, people being disappointed that we can't win back-to-back trebles. You know, before last season, only one club had ever done it in the history of English football. So to do it back-to-back would have been near impossible. But, you know, the double's still on, and the double's huge.
The double is huge indeed, and so is today. Let's talk about our forward line then. Let's talk about, we think it's Jack Grealish, Julian Alvarez, and then it's Bernardo or Foden. What do you think?
And Kevin De Bruyne is in there as well, you know, so it's not bad, is it? Obviously, Erling's out. A little niggle, it looks like. But I'm pleased to see Haaland back in the team as a 9. You know, when he was needed, whenever he's been needed, especially when Erling was injured earlier on the season, he was outstanding. Great to see Jack back in the pitch again. You know, I think slowly but surely he's getting back to his best. And what can we say about Phil Foden and Kevin De Bruyne? You know, they're just top players, and this is their stage. You know, the top players, the best players in the world, want to play in the biggest stage, and we're going to see that today.
They absolutely do want to play on the biggest stage. Now, Julian Alvarez, I feel like when I watch him, he's got a hint of Paul Dickoff in him.
He scores goals, though, mate.
A hint of Paul Dickoff, and you're saying you score goals. Well, listen, you've scored one of the most important goals in this club's history. Don't talk yourself down. You are an absolute legend. Julian Alvarez, massive opportunity for him today. He's never let City down, though.
He's never, and I just love his attitude. Look, he's a World Cup winner. He's won the treble. He's won everything there is to win. When he's left out the team, they never sulks. You never hear anything coming out from his agents. He just gets his head down, come on, whether he starts, whether he comes off the bench to get in the pitch. He works his socks off and always causes teams problems. And people forget he's still 23. You know, he's still a baby in footballing terms. And he's a huge asset for this club, and I'm desperate for him to do well today.
I am absolutely desperate for him to do well. I'm desperate for City to do well. Paul, it's been an absolute pleasure catching up with you as always.
As always, make sure you get dressed up the next time.
I will do indeed. Let's head back to the studio where I'm sure Natalie's going to rinse my dress sense again.
Yes, absolutely. Paul Dickoff is 100% right. Your pitch side at Wembley, FG. Stop with a puffer jacket next time. Dickie's going to have a lovely day, isn't he?
Oh,
I'm sure he's having it,
yeah.
Always has a lovely day, does our Paul Dickoff. So we are 10-11 minutes away from today's kickoff in the FA Cup semi-final. If you're just joining us, a very, very welcome to Matchday Live. City's starting 11 for today is Ortega, Walker, Stones, Akanji, Ake, Rodri, Kevin De Bruyne, Bernardo Silva, Phil Foden, Jack Grealish and Julian Alvarez. So that is the starting 11 for City today. How's the nerves, Dunne? What sort of game are you expecting?
I'm really looking forward to it because like I said, the two league games have been brilliant this season, really entertaining. Both sides have had a real good go. Chelsea have been able to use the counter-attack against City reasonably well this season. So if City try and close that up, it might make the game a little bit less exciting. But I just see them going for it. I think after the disappointment in midweek, they'll just be going straight out just to try and go and win the game early on, or whenever they can. But there's certainly going to be goals in it. So hopefully there's 3 or 4 for Man City.
Oh, do you agree, Steve?
I do, yeah. I think, I mean, as Dunne said there, the 2 games they've had this season have been excellent games. But I just feel as though, because of what's happened during the week with City, they're hurting a little bit. And I think they're going to be thinking, right, I tell you what, we're going to prove, like, anybody that was thinking doubters, or will it be a kind of another, you know, are they over it yet? I think they'll be together, the players, and they'll be like, let's go out and let's show them why we are Manchester City. and I think that's what they'll do.
Yes, I love that. I love that. We're going to go back over to Wembley nice and quickly now to get the final thoughts from FG and from Shaun Wright-Phillips.
So how are we feeling leading up to the game? The confidence levels?
I'm confident, but it's one of these games that I think from the past two that we've seen this season, you can't really predict or tell how it's going to be. You know the performance City are going to put out because they always perform at that level, but it's what Chelsea turn up today.
It is, and a man who knows Chelsea very well is just as the last man walking off the pitch. He's always smiling, Mateo Kovacic. He'll know Chelsea inside out. Do you think he'll be giving some tips in the dressing room?
I don't think we need it, but there's nothing wrong with a little bit of help and a little insider information, as they call it, insider trading, but there's nothing wrong with that.
A little bit of inside information, right? Okay, well, that's been us pre-match. We will see you at full time, and I hope you guys enjoyed the game. But first things first, Shaun, I'm not letting you go without a score prediction. The light's back. What is your score prediction, Shaun?
I'm actually devastated. I was trying to get off the air quicker. But I don't know. I'm going to say 2-1 City. 2-1
City. Well, we're going to head straight back to the studio. Thank you guys for watching the coverage pitchside. Let's head back to Natalie and everyone else.
Thanks, FG. What's Shaun Wright-Phillips talking about today?
As I say, I'm surprised he hasn't come out one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind and all that kind of thing. And insider trading. I don't know what he's been on.
He's excited, isn't he? It's a big game.
That's it, Dunne.
Well, for him as well, you know, with him, like ex-Chelsea as well, and of course City,
yes.
So I think he's looking forward to this one.
I think he might have been having some lunch with Paul Dickoff and a liquid lunch with Paul Dickoff. Right, gents, we are very, very close to the semi-final. Shaun Wright's gone for 2-1 there. Dickie... we didn't get Paul Dickoff's. I thought we got Paul Dickoff's prediction there. We did not. Dunne, what's your prediction?
I'm going to go 4-2.
Oh, gosh, OK.
I am 3-1 City.
3-1 to City, 4-2.
No extra time, no penalties.
In 90.
90 minutes.
Yeah.
I like that.
In 90 minutes.
Yeah.
In 90. OK, thank you very much. Richard, I'm all over the place. You know what I'm like.
Why don't we go for 3-0 and then that's when they get the one? So it's 3-0, it's comfortable so we can enjoy our cup of tea and enjoy the game.
That would be nice, wouldn't it? Because you know I'm a nightmare with these sort of games, so I'd like to just enjoy the football. That would be really, really nice. Richard, thank you so much for being here. Steve, thank you for being here as well. Thank you to FG and to Shaun Wright-Phillips, to Paul Dickoff, to Michael Brown, and to all of the fans that FG chatted to as well at Wembley. We'll be back at half-time and full-time, where we're hopefully discussing City making another FA Cup final. You can enjoy full match commentary with the Manchester City app, Alistair Mann and Michael Brown. But before we hand over to Ali Mann for today's game, let's just have a little reminder on how we got to the semi-final.
The Blues begin the defence of the FA Cup. They won as the second part of that historic treble. Up he goes towards the goal. It's gone in from Oscar Bob. As Foden hits a shot into the corner of the net. De Bruyne around the outside, clips it in. Doku! 5! De Bruyne scoops it in. Vicario gets to it. And Ake prods it over the line. And the goal stands. Ake's prodded it into the net. And City lead 1-0. Through on goal. Can he get his shot in? You bet he can. De Bruyne assist. Haaland goal. Can you believe it? Haaland, 5 for Haaland. It goes to Bernardo Silva. Bernardo Silva still into the penalty area. Hits the shot. Deflection in. 1-0 City. Bernardo Silva into the penalty area he goes. Hits the shot. It's the second goal for Bernardo Silva. And the Blues are into the semi-finals of the FA Cup. Well, less than 72 hours on from their Champions League heartbreak, the Blues are at Wembley Stadium with a chance to shrug off that midweek disappointment by securing a 13th FA Cup final. Standing in their way are a Chelsea side who've twice held City in the league this season. And although the Real Madrid penalties defeat will have taken its toll both physically and mentally, if there's one group of players who can ride to this latest challenge, it is surely the historic Making Blues. No treble this time around perhaps, but how about a domestic double to provide enormous incentive and allow the job of refocusing to be so much more straightforward. The Blues are quite simply serial winners and their appetite for trophies never wavers. This is astonishingly City's 6th successive semi-final. No team in history can ever match that record, and Pep Guardiola's respect for the world's most famous knockout cup is certainly demonstrated by that fact alone. Well, the two sets of players are in the tunnel, and Michael Oliver, who is today's referee, leads them out. It is a cauldron of noise. It is a sellout, as I'm sure you would expect, despite the fact that the City fans have had to make their way down to London for a 5:15 kick-off local time. They are certainly familiar foes, City and Chelsea. They are particularly familiar in this competition. Indeed, of course, last season the Blues beat Chelsea on their way to the FA Cup final, handsomely as well, by 4-0. That was a third-round tie, this a semi-final. And of course, one way or another, one of these two sides will be in the FA Cup final in a month's time. Well, a look at the City lineup tells you that Pep Guardiola never views this competition as secondary to anything. There may be 4 changes, but it's still a very menacing-looking 11. Stefan Ortega retains his place as the goalkeeper in the FA Cup. Indeed, he's never lost an FA Cup tie since he joined the club. John Stones and Nathan Ake come in for Ruben Diaz and Joško Gvardiol, while Julian Alvarez replaces Erling Haaland, who